In this video, I'll be referring to templates and forms. You can access these forms by clicking on the link on the screen or in the description of this video. Hello, welcome to the Power Hour on goal setting. Here's some of the things we're going to be talking about. Turning our dreams into plans and making smart goals. We're going to talk about messages you've received about money. We're going to look at what do you want to save for, and then how to turn a dream into a goal. So let's start off with messages about money. So here's an exercise you can stop and do now, or you can do later. In your handout on page 2, you're going to see a page about messages about money. What I want you to do is take a few minutes to think about messages that you've received from family, the influences from society, television, commercials. Think about all the various things that you think about when somebody says the word money. I want you to fill in those puzzle pieces with just a few things right now, if you will. And we can talk about this too. A lot of times talk about, when I was growing up, my grandparents were always talking about the Depression, right? Or my mom and my dad had different viewpoints about money. It's important to think about our messages about money because what you're going to realize is when you think about money, the messages that you received about it created the values that you hold about money. They're also going to influence your attitudes and then your behaviors. And the Power Hour series is definitely geared towards looking at our behaviors around money, and in other things we talk about maybe why we got into debt or why our credit is messed up. But right now, let's just think about these messages that you received from family. It's important to know, what are you saving for? Here at Homewise, our emphasis is always usually around people saving up money for a down payment for a home. That's their savings goal, right? That's what they're saving for. You might be saving for retirement. Whatever your savings goal, it's important to know what you're saving for. In your handout, let's look at page 4. Page 4, cute little couple, have this little plant. There's a little spiral here. I want you to just write some ideas. What are some things that you're saving for? It could be a long-term goal, it could be a short-term goal. You could be saving for a pair of shoes. You could be saving up for a vacation. But take a moment now, if you will, just to fill in some of the things that you're saving for. Ideas, things you'd like to accomplish in the future. It's important to think about those things when you think about your finances. Now let's talk about turning a dream into a goal. I met with a couple once, and the wife and the husband had the same goal. They were at Homewise to buy a home. But what was their motivation? What were their goals that they had inside? Well, the husband was all about, I want security and stability for my family. That was his motivation to go to work. That was his motivation for saving money and for the future. He was interested in security and stability for his family. The wife was different, right? She was more specific. She said, let's purchase a home with a $1,000 payment each month within the next 18 months. She wanted to purchase a home. Purchasing a home to her was what would be stability and financial security for her family. So there's a little bit of a difference. There's a difference between a dream and a goal. There's a cute little drawing of a genie on here. If you've ever read The Little Prince, then you know the author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. But he has this saying here, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's something to keep in mind. Another thing we talk about is talk doesn't make rice, right? You can't just talk about something you're saving for. You have to take action. So how do you take action? How do you take action? It's important to take the ideas that you wrote on that little spiral and think about them as goals rather than just ideas of things you would like to accomplish. We talk about turning things into a SMART goal. What is a SMART goal? So on page 6, we have a little chart for you to fill out. Let's fill that out together, shall we? Let's look at the box. So when you have an S, when you have something you'd like to accomplish, it's important to think about the goal must be written with detail. That's what's important. So what would be an S word? It would mean that you're writing it with detail. What would it be? What comes to mind? That's right, being specific. You want to make sure you're specific in your goal. Make sure you have a specific target date. Like the husband wants stability, What does the mom want? The mom wants a home. That's more specific. A home will give us stability. Then the M, this is how you will know you have achieved your goal. What's an M word that comes to mind for how you will know if you've achieved your goal? Measurable. Is it measurable? Is it something you can tangibly say like, oh, this is the measurable way that I know I've achieved my goal? Next is the A. So the A gets a little tricky, but the goal should be something you can realistically reach, right? What do you want to make sure it is? You want to make sure the goal is A. What? Something you can realistically reach. It's attainable. Something that you can attain. Something you can definitely achieve is another word, yes, that people come to say. So it's an achievable goal. Then R, does the goal apply to your values in your life? This is something that's really important. So when you had that spiral and you wrote down various things that you would like to achieve, when you're looking at your goal setting, you want to make sure that it is R to your life. Earlier we talked about messages, right? You wrote down some of the messages, the values you have, and the behaviors that you have. You want to make sure your goals are relevant. Are relevant. Sometimes people say realistic, right? Realistic is more that it's an attainable goal, right? It's realistic that you could do it. But it's important to focus on your goals. Is it relevant to your life? One time we were teaching class and a young lady was looking at home ownership. That's why she came to Homewise. She wanted to purchase a home. But why was she here? Well, her family sent her here to buy a home. It's smart, right? Why are you spending all that money on rent when you can put that money into your own pocket? But when she was in class and we were doing this exercise and we came to the word relevant, she realized owning a home wasn't really relevant to her at the moment. She wanted to travel. She wanted to take the money and go to school, learn more. So it's important when you look at your goals and analyze, are they relevant? Do they fit to the values of your life? That's really important. And then key to achieving these goals is the T. So looking in the box there, by when do you want to reach your goal? What's the T? What's the T? What do you want to make sure you give yourself? A timeline, or make sure it's time sensitive. The wife had very specific goals, right? She said, I want to purchase a home in the next 18 months. So that was a very clear timeline when she's going to reach this goal. So that's key. So now a bulk of this power hour is the work you have to do. On page 6 and on page 7, there's space for you to take some of the ideas that you had on that spiral. Maybe it's a short-term goal, maybe it's a long-term goal. But what I want you to do is write in what was that short-term goal for yourself, right? And then how can you turn it into a SMART goal? Let's just kind of make one real quick together. A lot of times people say, I want to take a vacation, I'm going to take my family to Disneyland. Well, that's a great idea, right? But you really have to start backing up and saying, so how much is this going to cost me, right? How much is it going to, and do some investigation, and you're going to have to say, well, for a family of 4, talk to a travel agent, you know, how much is the hotel bill going to be? What are the tickets to the park? So what is your, in the big picture, how much money do you need to save? So then you can be specific and say, you know, I'm going to take my family to Disneyland in June of, you know, maybe it's a year or 2 years from now, because you realize that you need to save $180 a month. So you're going to need X amount of months to realistically achieve your goal. And is it relevant? Yes, because it's a family vacation. And then the timeline would be however long it's going to take to achieve that goal. So in your handout, there's a lot of homework for you to do right now. Maybe you stopped and did it, or maybe you just watched this video and now you can go back. There's also a lot more information in this handout that you can read through. A lot of information we want to share with you that we didn't want to take time doing in the video, but there's a lot of great information and exercises, and by the end of it, you will have learned how to achieve a SMART goal.